The galaxy had forgotten them. For ages, the word human had become nothing more than a whisper, a story told in shadowed corners of alien taverns, a bedtime tale to scare younglings into obedience. Some called them ghosts, others called them myths, but none believed they had ever been real. Historians laughed at the very idea of humanity. Scholars dismissed it as nonsense, a tale born from fear of the unknown. The archives of the great empires contained no living records, no evidence, no flesh, no bone. Only fragments of half-burned star maps, broken symbols etched into forgotten ruins, and a single name written in languages long extinct. Earth, and... So the galaxy moved on. Empires rose, empires fell, wars were fought, peace was broken, and yet the myth of humanity remained buried, nothing more than dust in the stars. Until one night, everything changed. Far from the trade routes and the bustling centers of power, a small alien scout fleet drifted on the edge of known space. They were explorers, smugglers, and wanderers chasing rumors of hidden worlds. To them, the universe was a place of profit, not legends. But then, something happened. Their long-range scanners picked up a signal. Weak. Faint. A whisper in the void. At first, they ignored it. Signals were common in deep space, dead probes, wreckage, echoes of ancient satellites. But then the signal repeated, and again, and again. It was not random. It was structured, intelligent, deliberate. The crew grew silent as the strange transmission echoed through the bridge, a language none of them knew, a sequence of tones and pulses, sharp and commanding. They ran it through their systems, translating, piece by piece. What emerged was simple, terrifying in its simplicity. It was a warning. The alien captain scoffed. A warning from who? Pirates? But one of the younger officers leaned forward, staring at the decoded words that now glowed on their screen. His throat went dry. His voice trembled. No, not pirates. It says, Earth Defense Fleet. The bridge went silent. Not a breath, not a sound. Only the hum of the engines filled the air. Someone laughed nervously. Earth? You mean the fairy tale? The story of the ghosts who burned across the stars? Ridiculous. It's a prank, nothing more. But the signal came again, stronger this time. The crew decided to trace it, their curiosity overwhelming their fear. The ship adjusted course, engines burning as they followed the faint call through drifting asteroids and silent nebula clouds. Hours passed, then days, and finally they found it. A graveyard. Hundreds of ships, broken and burned, drifted silently in the void. Massive vessels, unlike anything the galaxy had seen in living memory. Their hulls were scarred, their weapons shattered, their cores long dead, but the markings remained, faded, burned, but still there. Symbols, letters, words in a language almost lost to time. United Earth Navy. The crew trembled as they drifted among the corpses of giants. It was not a story. It was not a dream. Humanity had been real. The proof floated before them silent and cold, a reminder of a war the galaxy had tried to erase. And then, something stirred. One of the derelicts came to life. Slowly, painfully. Lights flickered across its hull. Engines hummed. Weapons glowed faintly. The crew panicked, shouting, pulling back their ships as the monster began to awaken. For centuries it had slept, forgotten, lost. But now, its heart beat again. The alien captain screamed, "Retreat! Get us out of here!" But it was too late. The transmission grew louder, filling the bridge, shaking the very walls of their ship. The same message, repeated endlessly. A declaration, a warning, a promise. This is Earth Defense Fleet. Humanity endures. Humanity returns. The smaller ships scattered like insects, their engines flaring as they fled into the dark. Behind them, the ancient warship turned, its massive guns crackling with power. And in the distance across the black ocean of stars, new signals began to appear. Many signals. Hundreds. Thousands. The fleet was not gone. It was only waiting. For centuries the galaxy had mocked humanity, calling them a myth, a ghost, a fairy tale. But myths do not send warnings. Ghosts do not wake entire fleets from slumber. The galaxy would soon learn the truth. Humanity was real, and they were coming back. The news spread faster than light. Across trade stations, pirate dens, imperial courts, and forgotten colonies, the whispers carried one name: humans. At first, most laughed. Humans? Nonsense. Children's stories. Drunken tales. But others remembered the signal. They remembered the fleet graveyard, and they remembered the warning. The empires could not ignore it. Scouts were dispatched. Warships patrolled the edges of their borders. Merchants rerouted their trade lines in fear of what might come. Every corner of the galaxy buzzed with the same question. Could the old fairy tale be true? Then it happened, on Mar, the edge of the Kelrath Dominion. A fleet of 20 alien warships tracked a strange anomaly, an energy surge unlike anything in their records. Their commanders laughed it off. Probably smugglers with stolen tech, one said. But deep down, unease gnawed at them. The anomaly grew closer. The stars rippled, and then space itself tore open. A ship emerged. Not like theirs, not like anything they had ever seen. Its design was brutal, functional, built for war with no wasted line or curve. Its engines burned with white fire. Its hull glowed with markings older than any empire alive. And on its side, in letters scarred but unbroken, was a name none of them should have known. Earth Destroyer. Valiant. For a long moment, silence reigned. The alien crew stared, their eyes wide, their voices caught in their throats. Then the human ship spoke. A cold, mechanical voice echoed through their comms. This sector is under protection of Earth Defense Fleet. Identify yourselves. Or be destroyed. The commander of the Kelrath fleet sneered. Arrogant ghosts, fire! The alien ships launched volleys of plasma and rail fire, streaking across the void like burning arrows. Explosions lit the stars, shockwaves tearing through space. For a moment, it seemed the lone human warship would be buried under their firepower. But then, its shields flared. Its hull endured. And with a single flash of light, the human ship answered. One shot. A beam of energy cut across the void faster than the eye could follow, slicing through the Kelrath flagship like paper. It split in half, fire erupting from its core, pieces of molten debris scattering into the darkness. The fleet froze. The human ship moved again, silent, merciless, like a predator among prey. Its cannons roared, its missiles screamed, its railguns thundered. In minutes, half the Kelrath fleet was nothing but burning wreckage. The survivors fled, engines straining as they ran for their lives, and still the human ship did not chase. It remained where it was, its massive guns glowing faintly, its engines burning with quiet fury. Then once again the voice returned. This is Earth Defense Fleet. We are not myths. We are not forgotten. We are watching. The Kelrath survivors carried the story back to their dominion, and within days the story spread further, through merchants, spies, and whispers across every empire. Humanity was not gone. Humanity was awake, and humanity had firepower no one could match. The galaxy trembled. What else had been forgotten? How many ships slept in the dark, waiting to be awakened? If a single warship could crush a fleet of 20, what would happen when the others rose? The rulers of the galaxy gathered in secret chambers. Some spoke of peace, others of alliances. But most were afraid. For the first time in generations, the empires who had thought themselves eternal felt small, weak, vulnerable. And somewhere, deep in the void, signals pulsed in patterns too precise to be natural. More ships awakening. More war machines stirring. The stars themselves seemed to whisper a single truth the galaxy had tried to erase. Humanity was real. Humanity was rising. And humanity was coming for them all. The Kelrath survivors thought they had witnessed the worst. They thought the lone human ship was a relic, a chance encounter. a ghost clinging to life. But what they had seen was only the beginning. Days after their defeat, transmissions poured across the galaxy. Trade convoys reported human warships patrolling deep space routes. Pirate clans vanished without a trace, their bases reduced to ash. On the frozen moons of the Zoran Empire, watchers swore they saw entire fleets moving in silence. Black hulls gliding through the void like shadows, their engines leaving no trace. At first, the rulers of the great empires denied it. They called it fear-mongering, rumors, lies told by cowards. But then, proof came. On the neutral world of Drexel Prime, thousands of beings gathered in the grand trading dome when the skies darkened. Through the glass ceiling, merchants and nobles watched as a massive ship eclipsed the twin suns. It was not alien, it was human. The vessel descended slowly, its hull scarred but alive, its weapons glowing faint blue as if holding back their fire. On its side, ancient words glimmered, Earth Carrier, Invictus. The crowd trembled in awe, and then the ship opened its hangars. Hundreds of smaller craft poured out, sleek and fast, each marked with the same symbol, the crest of Earth. They flew in perfect formation, a swarm of precision, a storm of steel. The message was clear. Humanity was not a single ship, not a lonely ghost. Humanity was a fleet that had been waiting. The galaxy's balance shattered that day. The Kelrath Dominion doubled its border defenses. The Zoran Empire recalled its fleets. The Valari Syndicate began hoarding weapons like never before. Everyone prepared for war, but no one felt ready. Because deep down they all knew the truth. If humanity had slept for centuries and still returned with such power, then their full strength had yet to be revealed. And soon, it was. On the edge of the Valari frontier, 30 ships formed a blockade, determined to halt humanity's advance. They were armed with plasma cannons, shield generators, and fleets of drones. Their commanders mocked the idea of fear. We will crush them as we crushed others before. Then the stars rippled again. A fleet emerged. Not one ship, not 10, but hundreds. Warships of every size, destroyers, cruisers, carriers, each bearing the scars of old wars, each bristling with weapons that no alien recognized. Their hulls shone with cold steel, their engines burned white, and their guns glowed like suns. The Valari commanders froze. Never had they seen such unity. Never had they seen such raw might. It was not a fleet. It was an armada. The humans did not speak. They simply fired. The first volley erased 5 Valari cruisers in a single breath. The second shattered their shield arrays. Drones scattered like insects, torn apart by railguns that fired faster than lightning. Plasma cannons struck back, but human ships danced between them, shields flaring, weapons answering in brutal silence. The battle lasted less than an hour. When it ended, the Valari blockade was gone. Every ship either destroyed or fleeing into the dark. And floating in the silence, untouched, the human fleet remained. For the first time in centuries, the galaxy understood the scale of what had been hidden. This was not the rebirth of a myth. This was the return of a predator. From that day on, the galaxy's maps changed. Borders redrawn, trade routes abandoned, whole sectors marked as forbidden. Where humanity's fleet traveled, others did not. Where humanity set their course, others bowed their heads, and the whispers grew louder. Some said the humans were seeking vengeance for a betrayal long buried in history. Some said they wanted to reclaim the galaxy they once ruled. Others claimed they were not human at all anymore, but something greater, forged in fire and silence, reborn as gods of war. But one truth stood above all others. Humanity was not a fairy tale. Humanity was not forgotten. Humanity was real. And now, the galaxy would pay the price for forgetting them. The galaxy had always believed power was balance. One empire rose, another fell, and the cycle continued. Wars were brutal, but none ever burned so bright that the galaxy itself trembled. That changed when humanity's fleet began its march. The first to fall were the Valari. Their capital world, surrounded by planetary shields and orbital cannons, had been considered untouchable for centuries. No empire dared challenge it. But when Earth's fleet arrived, they did not negotiate. They did not send diplomats. Instead, hundreds of human warships descended like a storm. The Valari unleashed everything: ion cannons, missile swarms, fleets of drones. But the humans advanced through the fire as if it were nothing. Their shields blazed white, their guns roared with precision, and their railfire cut through the enemy's defenses like knives through glass. The skies above the Valari capital turned red. Towers crumbled, orbital stations burned, and the once proud empire fell in hours. Survivors whispered of seeing entire cities lit by the glow of Earth's weapons, their night skies swallowed by fire. To the galaxy, it was a message carved into the stars. Resistance meant annihilation. But humanity did not stop there. They moved from system to system, each strike as swift as it was merciless. On the frozen colonies of the Kelrath, human carriers darkened the horizon, releasing waves of strike craft that blotted out the suns. On the desert strongholds of the syndicates, massive destroyers unleashed bombardments that left craters larger than cities. Entire fleets fled before them, abandoning worlds, abandoning pride. Every battle carried the same truth: humans fought differently. Where the galaxy's empires fought for wealth, territory, or pride, Earth fought with something deeper, something older. They fought with vengeance. Every shot carried centuries of silence. Every bombardment carried the weight of being erased from history. They were not conquering. They were reminding. And still the galaxy resisted. Alliances formed. Empires who had been enemies for centuries now stood side by side. Together, they gathered fleets of thousands, their ships stretching across starfields, like oceans of steel. Leaders called it the Great Defense, the last wall against humanity's fury. They believed numbers would give them strength. Then the humans came. From the darkness, Earth's warships appeared, larger, stronger, more advanced than anything the galaxy had ever seen. Sovereign-class destroyers, imperial carriers, star dreadnoughts, armed with weapons no alien had names for. The human fleet moved as one, silent, relentless, their formation tighter than any alliance could hope to achieve. The battle was not a battle. It was slaughter. Alien fleets burned in the opening hour. Their lines shattered. Their admirals screamed for retreat, but there was nowhere to run. Human warships cut off every escape, their cannons tearing through ship after ship with cold efficiency. The void lit up with fire. Stars drowned in the glow of destruction. Those who survived carried the memory home. Their voices shook when they spoke. Their eyes widened in terror when they remembered the sight, not just of the weapons, not just of the destruction, but of the silence. Humanity never cheered in victory. They never taunted their enemies. They destroyed, and then they moved on, like predators feeding, then returning to the hunt. For the galaxy, this was no longer war. This was judgment. The fires of war faded, but their echoes carried through every corner of the galaxy. Where once stood proud empires, now only ruins remained. Where once fleets patrolled with arrogance, now only wreckage drifted silently across the stars. And, above it all, the humans stood victorious. But their victory was not loud. They did not celebrate with cheers. They did not carve statues of triumph. Instead, their silence was more terrifying than any weapon. They had come, they had burned, and they had proven the truth. Humanity was not a myth. Humanity was not a fairy tale. Humanity was real, and their power was unquestionable. Alien leaders who had once mocked the name Earth now spoke it with trembling lips. In the halls of governments, in the courts of kings, in the dens of smugglers, one fact united them all. The humans had returned. And no one, not even the greatest empire, could erase them again. Children on alien worlds now whispered the word human not with laughter, but with fear. Some dreamed of their ships, colossal, unstoppable, their guns like burning suns. Others dreamed of their silence, the cold gaze of warriors who carried the weight of centuries. The galaxy, for the first time in living memory, shared the same nightmare. Yet deep inside, respect grew as well. For while humans had destroyed fleets, crushed armies, and burned cities, they had also shown restraint. They had not exterminated every empire. They had not turned every world into ash. They had struck only where the galaxy had tried to erase. Them, where the galaxy had laughed at their memory. They fought not to conquer but to remind. In the shadows of ruined battlefields, survivors repeated the same phrase. The humans came to be remembered. And remembered they would be. No archive would ever again erase their name. No scholar would ever again call them fiction. No child would ever again doubt their existence. From that moment onward, the word human carried the weight of fire, the weight of truth, the weight of survival. Empires rebuilt their fleets, but none dared challenge Earth again. Instead, they watched. They waited. They whispered. Because deep in their hearts, they knew the humans were not finished. Somewhere beyond the stars, more ships still slept, more warriors still waited, more vengeance still burned. The galaxy had thought it was eternal, but it learned the hardest truth of all. History does not forgive being forgotten. And so, across the endless stars, one story became law. They called humanity a fairy tale, until Earth's warships burned across the stars, and from that day forward the galaxy would never ever forget.